I am excited to be with all of you again. We have a very special guest, as you've seen for the past couple of months of us doing this, Curt Anderson, but he is not only a guest, he is the host of this. Why do I have Curt Anderson doing a host or being the host on this show? Well, that's very simple because he is 10 times the MC and host that I am. Perhaps when I get to his age, he has a couple years on me, then I'll be as good as he is as a host. But until then, I get to have the privilege of having him on my show to be the host to help walk us through this. Curt knows manufacturers inside and out, and he is a wonderful person to have on the show. So, Curt, come on in, introduce yourself, and let's take it away.
Joseph, good morning. Hello, good afternoon. Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you for this incredible opportunity. What a warm man. Did my mom for Mother's Day, did my mother call you and say give Curt like a warm intro, or what happened here?
Yeah, she did actually, but
Well, hey,
she asked me not to say, so I just spilled the beans.
you just spilled the beans. Well, hey, we'll keep it between us. So thank you. Founder, president of Swift Otter. It is just such an honor and privilege. I learned something new from you every time, though I do have, that was very polite, very kind. I have a couple years. I have a lot of years on you, but we're going to do a deep dive. This is a great, incredible, wonderful topic, especially for manufacturers that are new to e-commerce. This is a great place to start and a wonderful benefit for why to dive in. Order process management. Why don't you give us a little 101 and then we'll dive right into the presentation. Why is this such an important topic?
Order process management is basically everything that happens after an order is placed or an order is received, whatever format that's in. And there is a lot that goes into making a customer happy. Typically, we think of, is the quality of this product good? Is this at least adequate, or is this meets expectations? If so, then we have a happy customer. And I would argue, and what we're going to talk about here in this conversation is the process management for after an order is placed is very responsible for customers' happiness and potentially even more responsible for customer happiness than whether or not the quality or the production of the good meets expectations.
Yeah, it's and you love to preach. I feel like you hit this topic every time. It's that transparency, right?
Mhm.
It's just, people want to know, need to know. They don't want to have to, where is it? So let's dive in some of the advantages, the challenges. Let's dive right in there. Let's get right to the meat and potatoes.
Absolutely. So if you could jump to the next slide. A question that I've thought of a lot in this type of a conversation is, what does shipment tracking and pizza have in common? So
let's ponder that. That's a pop quiz for our audience, right? What
That's
do
right.
shipments and pizza? Now, Joseph, what do you like on your pizza? What toppings? Let's go there. What do you like on your pizza?
I'll say anything but Supreme or Hawaiian. I do not like pineapple on my pizza. I mean, I can eat it, but I don't like olives. So Supreme is no go for me.
Got it. But overall, there's just no such thing as a bad pizza, right? Is that no matter where you are, even
Pretty close, yeah.
I mean, maybe there might be exceptions, but even like that frozen pizza, if you're really hungry, you pull it out and it can hit the spot.
And I could pick the olives off, so I can work around that.
You can work, but no such thing. But let's dive into I love your analogy, love the comparison. Let's go there. Let's explain it to our friends.
Yeah, so think about this product that you just ordered. I ordered myself recently a weight vest. I'm excited about getting out there, doing some extra walking, get my heart rate up a little further. I got this weight vest from Rogue, and I was excited about it. I spent my birthday money on it. At 35, I still get birthday money, and I still try to just spend it. It turns out it's always a little bit more than what I get, so it works out well. But I was excited to get this product, and I checked on this shipment tracking page a number of times. Why? Well, I, number one, wanted to see when it was going to arrive. But second, there was this curiosity factor of, where is this package right now?
Right.
So that's shipment tracking. What about pizza? Curt, we could jump to the next page there. There you go. That's right. We often think about, you have probably heard the term a Domino's Pizza Tracker. And I found a GIF with a Domino's car on here. And it's much the same idea, right? Of But I guess we could even up the level a little bit with a Domino's Pizza Tracker, because when I order Domino's, generally I am starving hungry, and it's
Right.
usually an hour past my dinner time. I really want to know when this pizza is going to arrive.
That's right. And you're hangry, right? Like
I am.
you're
Yes.
hangry and you're wanting to know. And here's the big thing, let's dive in and just think, it could be, it was Mother's Day. I took my 80-year-old mother, took her out to wonderful brunch of my wife and daughter, and we had a great time. And the waiter came up and he said, hey, they're plating your food right now. It was this, nice restaurant. Sometimes you go to a nice restaurant, and
Hmm.
we were at one recently. They had a nice open window where you can see the food being made.
Nice.
So as you're sitting there, it's just giving that, it's the total transparency and just that it's healthy communication.
Hmm.
And I want to pass this over to you, Joseph. There's a great book called Never Split the Difference,
Oh, yes.
bestseller, Never Split the Difference. And it gets into some pretty difficult topics or conversations. But in that, he talks about people just need to know, even if it's bad news, I just need to know when
That's
this is
right.
going to take place.
That is absolutely right. And I think these trackers, if you want to move to the next slide, I have a
Yep.
picture there. We have these trackers give us that visibility, whether it's good news or bad news. Although I don't know if the Domino's Pizza tracker would say that your driver just got in an accident,
Yeah,
so
right,
you're
right, right.
it's going to be late, like an hour late, whatever.
Right, right,
But it gives that visibility into the process, so we have assurance of what is happening. And I think that is absolutely critical for these everyday occurrences.
right, right. Absolutely. It's all about just healthy communication. And I love the slide that you have here. And it's really, if you've had a loved one or yourself, you've been in a hospital, we're standing at the airport. It's just
Mhm.
people, it's eliminating that curiosity. And my loved one is in the hospital,
That's
for
right.
maybe something positive, maybe something not so
Mhm.
positive. And just please give me the peace of mind of so it could be something as mundane as a pizza. It could be something as mission critical as a loved one in a hospital. But it's all about that communication. Let's do a deep dive for manufacturers. Most
Mhm.
importantly, I'm an engineer at Boeing and I need my part. I work for Ford. I work at a small manufacturer. Let's talk about the e-commerce. Let's start diving into some of these opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think here's the key point that we find shipment tracker important because we know when our product is going to arrive because we're excited to start using it. When our pizza is going to arrive because that's when our hunger is going to be satisfied. But I think we could argue that uh, as much as Amazon, FedEx, UPS, Domino's has this area nailed, could it actually be more important for a manufacturer to have this nailed? Why? Because your customers are planning their resourcing. They are planning their production lines, the materials for keeping those up and running around this type of information. And so it's not just a matter of a curiosity factor. Sure, I'm sure that's there somewhat, but
Mhm.
this is a matter of business critical planning, making money versus losing money around this information that you are providing them. So, if, in other words, if Amazon has this set, can't we have this set as well? And it's not just a many billion-dollar company sort of deal. This helps every company through that entire process of size be able to provide to their customers exactly what they need.
Yeah, we've talked about that transparency for pricing, right? A lot of manufacturers want to keep things to the vest, and we've shared, the customer portal, getting that information out there, letting
That's
them
right.
know the price of, the standard item, the item that they buy on a regular basis. It's their milk, bread, butter, the staples, right?
Mhm.
Getting that price out there, and we have a dear friend in our network. She always loves to say, don't force your customer to have to call you for the price of the O ring. Don't force your customer to call you for tracking information.
That's right.
So this is no longer, it really is not a nice to have anymore. This really is
Mhm.
a must to have. And just any manufacturer, regardless of where you're at, this is just again, just from a communication standpoint, just giving them the peace of mind of
That's right.
where am I in the order process.
Absolutely. And this screenshot that I have here is actually from Big Commerce, a partner of ours.
Mhm.
And this gives your customers basically every piece of information they want to know. Potentially, there's one other piece that would be also very helpful is the estimated delivery date added into this screen as well. But here we see the information that they need to know. And ironically, it's basically out of the box. Like there's
Right.
nothing you have to do to get this make changes in order to get this whole page to show on your website. Now we have to feed information into it, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But this screen right here is basically out of the box, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know what? And before we move forward, I feel compelled. Let's hit that for a minute because some manufacturers, when it's new, it's overwhelming, it's daunting,
That's right.
intimidating, right? Maybe, unfortunately, I hate to use that word, we get the fear factor, so we talk ourselves out of doing something. This is not high level, customized, gazillion dollar, technology to make this a reality. Can we dispel that myth, Joseph?
100%. Yeah, this is out of the box stuff, and that's one of the things I understand on a manufacturer's perspective that profit margins are tight. It's not like you're in this massive tech company that just has billions to blow on whatever pet project you want to work on.
Right.
Like we're talking about dollars and cents that really matter. And so how we can utilize those dollars and cents is critical and if for the best good. And I think another question here that's along those same lines is, do I really also want to give my customer access to this level of
Mhm.
transparency?
Mhm.
Because with this level of transparency comes accountability.
Right.
And uh, are we going to be able to deliver on these unspoken promises? Like we give a
Yep.
deliver estimated ship date, and that in effect becomes a promise. Uh, and that is a very important question to ask as well, because this represents a level of, or maybe a higher level of organizational discipline to be able
Mhm.
to set these dates and to then hold ourselves accountable to delivering to them. And this is probably the fundamental question or the fundamental piece of pushback that we get around this level of transparency is being able to hold ourselves to it. And I don't want to be clear. If you could jump to the next screen, Curt.
Sure.
Um, there's two pieces that we're talking about here. Number one is what is the current status? And I think what can be scary here is, are we saying that Jeff is installing the rivets right now,
Mhm.
and that and an hour later Mike is we're still working on the fabricating,
Right.
and
Right.
Brianna is now it's in the paint shop with Brianna. Like we're not talking about that level of transparency. There is going to be a certain set of statuses that really matter, and it's those statuses that need to be communicated to the customer. But it's not this, literally hand holding level of transparency through the process.
Yeah, and if you could hit on this, if for our friends out there listening, like, man, all right, this is really resonating. I like this, but how about examples? Could you give an example? Would I love and admire the work that you do at Swift Otter? Do you want to talk a little bit? You guys would I love you practice what you preach. Could you
Mhm.
just share a little bit on how you communicate with your customers, and then maybe slide into? Do you have an example of a client that you could use that's really, I don't know, necessarily resistant, but like embraces? So share a little bit on from a Swift Otter perspective, and then let's talk about a client real quick.
There is a book, and I can't remember the name of it, that I've been reading. It's actually fairly old. It's about that thick. It's pretty dry and boring. But um, I came across a page, and I shared it with the rest of our team the other day.
Nice.
And it talks. They makes a very critical statement, and it kind of comes into uh, this challenge that anybody who renders services, whether it's more
Mhm.
soft services or like delivering goods, can run into. We think that the quality of our products is everything. It represents the entire customer
Yep.
experience.
Yep.
This author argues that that might even be less than the majority of what makes up the customer experience. What actually makes up the customer experience, or at least the majority of it, is the communication around
Mhm.
estimates and costs, and is there going to be overruns, or what's the current status, and so that customers feel like they're in the loop. Their questions are answered before they even have to go ask those questions.
Mhm.
it's that soft skill, and it's not even like schmoozing with clients.
Yeah.
It's the soft skill of reporting and handling this project well is what makes up the majority of the customer experience. And this is written for more of a services firm, but there are obviously services style like job shop manufacturers, but also literally any manufacturer that is producing products. You can argue that it's somewhat or even mostly service based, which is where this component kicks in, being very important to help our customers be in the loop as far as what they're doing. And so I think that's a personal example that we take very seriously at Swift Otter with the services we deliver. We have a client called Grandstand. Their website's egrandstand.com. Love those people. Super, super great people.
Mhm.
So the case study that you're referencing here, Curt,
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite of all. They produce. I should have had it sometime on my desk. They basically take mugs. So, for example, this is not something that they did here, but this is Bubba Walmart brand here.
Nice.
But 40 ounces.
Yep.
I try to drink my 40 ounces several times a day. So,
Yep.
anyways, they can take your logo and they'll put your logo on there. Now, here's the thing. You have to supply artwork, and they have to take this artwork, make it print ready,
Yep.
and then they have to schedule it, and then they have to get it laser engraved or printed on there, and then they have to get it shipped, etc. Like, it's a very involved process using obviously pre-manufactured goods, but they're kind of manufacturing they're manufacturing on top of that.
Mhm.
And so we help them establish a new system where their customers are involved. Their customers see each one of the statuses of the order,
Nice.
as well as having a ship date in there. A very accurate ship date. To my knowledge, they actually buffer it a little bit so
Yeah.
that they pretty much always beat that ship date.
Yeah.
But something starts hitting the fan, they're able to have a little bit extra buffer in there.
Right.
And it's been highly successful for them. Their customers understand what's going on, and they have very few calls about people saying, "Where's my order?" because they know
Right.
exactly where it is.
So let's hit that. And I pulled this slide because, just
Mm,
the word assumption. Okay.
yeah.
Absolutely love what you said. I put out a blog post years ago and it was called Be the Blankie. How
Mm.
could you be the blankie? Joseph, I don't know, when you went away to college, were you still, I'm asking for a friend. Did you still have like your little blanket from what, or am I the only guy, that's
Uh,
another subject. We'll save that for another day. But,
You know
you know,
what? I got to say this real quick. Yes, or on Mother's Day, we went up to my parents' house, and they had this whole pile of stuffed animals they'd collected, and they're kind of cleaning some stuff out.
yeah.
I was looking at that pile of stuffed animals, and I saw this ugly green and purple dinosaur. Like, if you could make
Yeah.
an ugly plushie that's green and purple,
Yeah.
like, it qualified. And I was like, that was mine. I
That was
remembered it 30 years later. I remembered it. So yes, I
right.
was one of those guys, Kurt.
And what did that little it gave you a great night's
Yes.
sleep. And so what my
Yes.
point is, what you're describing is what this company has done for their customers is
Mhm.
they've removed that element of frustration, that element
Yes.
of disappointment, that element of
Absolutely.
I don't have to stop and you're not disrupting my day that I have to send an email say where are we in this.
Mhm.
So now you've saved time by being proactive on your
That's right.
customer service, on your team, on your staff, on that stress level. And you've helped yourself be the blankie by providing that great night's sleep. And the word I like here on this slide, assumption, is we remove the assumption of our customer being angry, upset, frustrated, not knowing, because
Mhm.
now, even if you're late, at least now I know. So let's dive into, you have an ERP that has your orders. What's going on
Mhm.
here? Let's dive into this topic.
Yeah, so one of the big things that has to be worked out is we have to have this order status to be able to communicate back to the customer. So if a item literally goes out onto the production floor to be manufactured, and there is no checkpoints, there's no accountability, there's nothing that happens, and eventually 2 weeks later or 4 weeks later it's then eventually shipped out, there's no way to communicate this back to the customer. And we have to be able, there has to be some even basic level of accountability, whether there's checkpoints out on the floor to be able to report back this item is in production, maybe not down to the station level if that's how your floor is set up, but such that there are these checkpoints that are then referred back to your ERP. So they're at least somewhat up to date there, because again, customer service representatives having to walk the floor is unsustainable, saying, okay, we'll find where this order is out there. So generally speaking, what we see is that this information is reported to at some level back into the ERP. So customer service representative just looks it up on their computer and they're able to tell the customer. So we need this information in one main location. Generally, that's the ERP, so that we can then start pushing that back up to a customer facing portal of some sort. And so what you see here is the link. We have our ERP. This is the foundation. This is where it all starts.
Right.
But then it is then pushed up via some digital link or bridge up into a customer facing front end.
Yeah. And again, we're all small, but many of us small business owners, we don't have every capacity to do everything, but you did make me cringe for that poor manufacturer where somebody calls customer service. Where is such and such? That customer service person, if it's a small shop, they physically have to get out of their seat,
That's
stop
right.
what they're doing, walk out on the floor, find the production manager, ask, so and so's on, just that sheer disruption that happens, and again,
Absolutely.
we've all been there. I've been there I'm still there in my business. It's not perfect, but boy, when you can, is a company that you described, Grandstand, is that what you said?
Yes, Grandstand is one of them.
Grandstand is just doing such a great job setting the bar. And I just love how you've partnered with them to take that to the next level. So, all right, let's take it one step further. Let's talk what's going on here.
Yeah. So what we need, provided we have an ERP that has this order status at some level, it starting out doesn't have to be the most granular. As long as we have this, we can then start communicating this up into a website of sorts, customer portal. And you've heard Curt talk about that. You've heard me talk about this. Customer portal, meaning somewhere that customers can log into their email, password, whatever, and they can see a list of their orders as well as the status of those orders, and ideally a estimated ship date with those. And estimated ship date, I would say, is not critical at the beginning. It's wonderful to have. It's wonderful to be able to present our customers, and it's something we want to get to. It's a destination for us. But an estimated ship date is not something we have to have out of the gate. We just need to help our customers understand where it's at in the process.
Perfect. So, all right, dude, is this great, or this is just such juicy stuff right here? What are the advantages and challenges? Let's dive in.
I think we should talk about challenges first, because if you're like, as a listener here, if you're like one of the conversations that I've had, we tend to skip past the advantages and we want to talk about the problems that we're going to face with this at first, right? Because we all get it's a good idea to do, but what's going to inhibit us from being able to make these promises to our customer? And there's a couple of these here. Some of them can be helped with technology. Some of them post-COVID can't be helped at all, right? We have production line delays. We have the people that don't show up for work, or we have materials that are back ordered for 4 months, and who knows how long it's going to be until we get those. Right. Some of these points are dealt with by communication back to the customers, and that's where these checkpoints help us. Gives us the ability to, even ideally in a dashboard, look and say, okay, I need to email this customer, hey, we're having a delay on this product. Our materials are on a ship right now. I can't get access to them. And so we need to be able to communicate back to them. A classic one, which is unfortunate, but depending on how this digital bridge is built, if it's built in a less than stable way, which we have definitely seen before, it could break. And so then customers are left saying they're seeing that their order is in production for 4 months. Well, they got delivered last month, but accounting doesn't know that, even though it's actually on the floor and actually being implemented on the production line as we currently speak. Right. So choosing a stable bridge is absolutely important. Perhaps there's these checkpoints, these manual actions that are missed. The floor manager is, out sick, and somebody's filling in for them, and they didn't follow the processes that this floor manager normally does. Well, that can be a problem. And that one is one of the easier ones to overcome. You have to literally have checklists that the floor manager or whoever's filling in for them has to work through. Rush projects, on the other hand, are interesting because uh, production line delays push out into the future a delivery date. So it's from a calculation perspective, but rush projects actually pull it forward from a estimated ship date calculation. So again, this is that destination. We want to be able to get where we can tell customers that they can rely on what date this item is going to ship, or even better, what date this item is going to arrive on.
No deal breakers, all challenges. We face those
Mhm.
challenges every day, and so let's spin it a little bit positive. Love, is
That's
that
right.
Simon?
It is. It is. Yeah.
Hey, who
100%.
doesn't love Simon, of course, right? So let's dive in. Let's get in a positive mindset. What are the benefits that folks are going to
Mhm.
experience going this route?
One of the biggest ones is as we are able to give this insight, this transparency, and I even those promises of a ship date or a delivery date, we earn customer trust.
Yeah. Yep.
Think about the trust that you have in FedEx or UPS to be able to deliver on time. Think about the trust we have in Amazon or in Domino's to be able to deliver our pizza or our goods. You will build customer trust because they know they can rely on your company, which is a huge piece of the value proposition for American manufacturers is people can rely on you. So customer trust is absolutely huge. But there's a couple more that I think really can move the needle. Number 2 is marketing opportunities. People are coming back to your website
Mhm.
to see the status of their order. Well, put a new service, put a new product in front of them, educate them. Like they might have more exposure to those products on your website than a salesperson could ever hope to get in a 15-30 minute meeting with them.
Mhm.
As your customers then begin to rely on you, they're going to start planning around you. Think about a competitive advantage here, because as your competitors may not be doing this level of reporting and this level of accuracy, they're going, it's about this customer experience piece, right? Your competitors are going to be falling way down on this scale. So your customers might not even be looking at the competitors as such because they are so happy with the service and the planning that they can do, improving their production processes and efficiencies thanks to the reporting that they can get from you.
Mhm.
And this final one is a little bit more human psychology than it is actual tangible, but we all love working with those cool companies that do great work, that are next level, cutting edge, investing in technology. We've talked about Home Depot versus the other hardware stores, Lowe's, etc., that are actually investing in it. You setting yourself apart is really amazing.
Yeah, and I think for, as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, we, think about how you shop as a consumer.
Mhm.
Why do we drive a certain kind of car? Why do we live in a certain neighborhood? Why we
That's right.
root for a certain sports team? It's, hey, God bless you and your Chiefs, right? How do the Chiefs make you feel every year, past couple years? They make you feel
Amazing.
amazing, right? So the
That's
thing
right.
is, by aligning and partnering, if you're in the B2B space and you're
Mhm.
in that supply chain and your supplier is, they're being that blankie. They're providing that great peace of mind, that
That's right.
wonderful good night's sleep because of the communication level. Just think what you can do for your customer and what you're providing. And it's like the person that drives a Harley Davidson. It's how it makes them feel. Just
Mhm.
think what you can do to make them feel. All right, Joseph, dude, you're giving me chills. I'm getting all fired up right now. Let's talk about the plan. Let's dive in.
Absolutely. Yep. Couple more minutes here. Talk through what does this look like. Uh, there are a couple of links that we have to talk about here. So we've talked about the advantages, the challenges, what this actually is, what is the process to getting into this final destination. So we are assuming you have an ERP that has at least some level of order reporting in there. That's I would say a fundamental table stakes, something that just it has to be implemented almost no matter what the company size. Just to be clear, it's not like you have to go to some super expensive, massive implementation ERP. There are some very inexpensive options that are out there. Things like even Odoo is technically open source. It's very minimal cost to get into it. There's Fishbowl. There's some very inexpensive ERPs that are out there that great place to start. And yes, as you work up the line, you can get into like an Epic or Profit. or a Acumatic, or if you really want to plunk down the cash, eventually down the road, that'll be like a Dynamics. But right now, we need an ERP. Could you jump to the next slide,
Absolutely.
Curt? Yeah. So we have our ERP on the front end. When I say front end, that means like our website that we can navigate to. We need some type of customer portal. Now, there are plenty of options out there. I would say the more expensive end, but the more full-featured end would be BigCommerce, which is an e-commerce platform. E-commerce meaning you can purchase online, but this is not like a e-commerce platform that you go, buy a shirt from or a pair of shoes. Like this is a e-commerce platform that's designed for a B2B environment. So it has tools like being able to pay invoices, to see your orders, to allow other people to order, other people to log in, to manage shipping addresses, to be able to, I think I said, see your order status. So very full featured, out of the box, native capabilities, and very reasonably priced too. So BigCommerce is a fan favorite of ours. There's other tools like Rich Panel, which is explicitly designed to be a customer portal. Now, being able to order out of there, provide catalogs, that capability is really, really limited. But for just a customer portal, something like that would work very well. Or if you want to go custom and present information yourself, there are tools like Zoho Creator. It's a no-code interface builder where you can just drag and drop and create these rules such that you can also effectively create a customer portal as well.
Perfect. Okay. So now let's dive in. So the folks, they have their ERP, or
Mhm.
you just threw out a bunch of suggestions. Connect with Joseph offline if you want to take that conversation further.
Yeah.
But we are both e-commerce junkies. Let's just why e-commerce?
Yeah, I'm an e-commerce junkie, so I have to talk about this. Simply from the fact that e-commerce is going to provide your customers more information, more relevant content for what they're needing. I was just talking to a manufacturer, was that yesterday or the day before? And yeah, yesterday. And one of their value propositions was actually, that was a distributor, so slightly different. But one of their things that they strive for is being able to take an order over the phone in less than 60 seconds, a reorder over the phone in less than 60 seconds. That's part of their value proposition.
Okay.
And e-commerce allows for that. So think about you as a manufacturer. You are providing goods to businesses. A lot of those times, those goods are going to be reorders, right? There's going to be some similarities. Not every case, but there's going to be a lot of similarities. Being able to provide that is a huge value proposition. Nobody wants to waste time trying to reiterate the same thing they've done already 5 times in the past. Giving them an option or a portal to be able to come in, quickly reorder, in and out of your website less than 60 seconds, and you just got another order. That's a win to me.
Mhm. No doubt, dude. What we love to preach is how can you provide that 24/7 service,
That's
but
right.
more importantly, that ideal customer, whether a brand new customer or the customer that's been with you for 10, 20 years, how can you let them make a buying decision
Mhm.
on a Friday night at midnight without having to wait for you to open up your door on Monday morning? Again,
That's right.
just being that blankie, right? So let's talk about the digital bridge, Joseph.
Yep. Yeah. So this is so we've talked about the ERP, which is on the left. We have talked about the customer portal, which is on the right. Well, the final link is a link that goes between the ERP and the destination. That's another benefit of e-commerce is that e-commerce is common enough, popular enough that there is often going to be a pre-built bridge for these two endpoints. So like we have the two pieces over on the side, we have to connect them. There's generally going to be a bridge already built for that. If you go with some of these other options like Rich Panel or Zoho Creator, some of the options like that, you're probably going to have to build a bridge, which means it's not going to be as stable. So
Mhm.
e-commerce has another advantage there in that it's pretty much going to have a stable pipeline going to these two endpoints.
Okay, if we start taking it home, we mentioned this case study earlier for our friends that are just joining us,
Mhm.
or now we have a nice example here. Dive in and just kind of give us a quick
Yep.
overview once again here.
Absolutely. So egrandstand.com, customer of ours, wonderful people, outstanding service, best in the industry. So they are providing this information to their customers and they're holding themselves accountable to it. It's outstanding information. So we have the status of it. We have in production listed here. We have when this order was placed and we have the estimated delivery date. So they are going to beyond the estimated ship date, accounting for the time in transit
Mhm.
to the time that they are actually delivering this product. This is everything a customer needs to know. For example, if they are if there is this is a business going to be selling these products to their customers, well, that maybe they've planned a launch date around this. Well, they know based off this estimated delivery date, maybe give it a couple days padding, maybe the fifth, and then they will start selling this product themselves or announcing it to their customers as well. It allows for that transparency allows for planning, customer trust, and really appreciating the value and the service that Grandstand brings here.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And so as we wind down, Joseph, a
Mhm.
couple takeaways here that I want to share is number one, I'm an hour ahead of you, so you threw a lot of food out there, right? So pizza, I need to be next time I need to be prepared and not be as hungry coming into our kitchen again. But big takeaways, just be that blankie, provide that
Yes.
wonderful good night's sleep to your ideal customer, number one. Number two, when you order
Mhm.
that pizza and you know exactly where it is, provide that similar and same experience to your customer. So those are my
Absolutely.
two takeaways. What do you want to close out with?
Just do it. And I think that's one of the big challenges is like this is a non-optional service that you should be providing to your customers. There's no debate about whether is a good idea or bad idea. The only question is how do we implement it? And that's where that conversation comes in. I hope that you found some of the suggestions we talked about here today helpful in that kind of giving you a vision, a roadmap for how you can communicate this to your customers. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to Curt or me. We're easy to find on LinkedIn, etc. We'd be happy to talk about this. This is a really important step for you to take as a manufacturer and to be able to provide this information to your customers.
Absolutely. So we'll close out with this. Go out and just keep crushing it on e-commerce. Just be dedicated to your customer. Align with, and Joseph, one last question for you. When you're getting into something new, it's just so helpful to have that Sherpa, that guide,
Mhm.
that partner, that alignment. Any words of wisdom that you want to share with their, for first steps? As you said, certainly they can reach out to myself, reach out to you. What are some first steps for folks to kind of get things started?
Absolutely. Yeah. So getting things started is first, again, uh, making sure you have this information in your ERP. That would
Yep.
be step number one. There's really nothing else that matters if we don't have this source of information. The next steps are making sure we have a way to show this to our customers at a very basic level. It can be. Ultimately, you could even leverage email. Start out by leveraging email, even if it's your sales reps manually sending some of these emails.
Right.
That can be possible.
That can be possible.
Start small, start basic, and get this information out to your customers. Your customers will love it.
Yep.
And then you can expand out past that. Get e-commerce going, get that digital link going. There's so many steps you can take in order to automate and make this simpler for you, your team.
Love it. We'll close out on that. Make it part of your culture, create a new
Yes.
habit, and just dedicate yourself to communicating, over communicating, and just, make that customer, just so locked and loaded, make their life easier and we'll all win. So Joseph Maxwell, thank you for your time, your experience, your passion, your expertise. This was just a wonderful masterclass, and we appreciate you sharing all of your experience here.
It was wonderful having you on, Curt. Sure appreciate you coming on, man.